Hey, good morning, you guys. All right, we have a brand new project, and this one I'm super excited about. This is one I'm actually going to make for myself. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. I want to do some elements on this particular project that I have never done before. And so Vicki and I may be doing some stuff together on it. That I'm not sure, but I've got a special piece of wood that my buddy over at Andrew over at Reclaim Secrets in Las Vegas, easy for me to say. Anyway, he gave me the first or second time I met him that we picked up some material over there. He gave me a piece of wood that I've just been I sit back in a corner and I haven't been using it for anything. I was just waiting for a project to come up, and now I've decided to use it for my own project. So stay tuned. We're going to come right back and I'll show you exactly what I'm thinking of. All right, guys, here is what I was talking about. This is a piece of Gamble oak. And gosh, I don't know whether you can really see much what's going on there. I have been using this thing for about a year just for extra resin that I've had that didn't work, that I had actually made too much resin, and I would just pour it in this because this whole area here was literally all open, and really it kind of looked like, let me see if I can zoom in on that. It kind of looked like this area here. It was really sparse. And I've just literally been using it as kind of a dumping spot for extra resin, obviously, whether it was colored or not. And I've been just kind of looking for a project to do with this piece. It's over 4 foot long. It's about 16 to 18 inches wide. And you know what? I think I've come up with something that I want to use this for. The only thing is that I'm thinking that I am not going to use, I don't think this is going to be the front. This has got a little bit of a cup to it. I'm filming this by myself, obviously, but I think I'm going to use the other side. But the other side right at the, and this thing is like, I'm so glad I don't have to ship this thing because it weighs probably 60, 70 pounds. But the other side I have obviously covered with tape because I didn't want, I don't know if this is going to stand up by itself. So I can't even remember. That tape has been on there probably for a year, and I've got to pull that tape off, but I think I'm going to use this for my front. Number one, it's not cupped. If it is cupped, it's cupped to the right. It's more, you know, rounded this way and will work better for my base. And number two, it's got a lot of live edge showing, which, yeah, I don't know about you guys, but I love that live edge showing. But when I take this tape off, you'll probably see in this area what the other side looked like. So I'm going to have to put a lot of epoxy on this just to get it stabilized and sealed up. So this is going to be a project, and on the next scene I'll go ahead and I'll get that tape all off of there, and we'll see what it looks like underneath that tape, and then we'll kind of move on. I don't know how many videos this is going to take, but this is going to be something for me. I've decided to keep this thing, and it is going to be my project, so stick with me. Okay, here's the other side. And evidently this was underneath the red tape. That is not tape, that is resin. I had forgotten, I guess I had leftover red resin that I had poured in there and had completely forgotten about it. So it looks a little bit different than I thought it would underneath the tape. I had kind of forgotten about this live edge stuff here coming clear up to the surface, so I'm not sure how I'm going to deal with that yet, but I am determined to do something with this, even if it comes out as a fail. I'm determined. But this is kind of what I was talking about. It's very porous, it's really splintery, I'm not going to rub my hand over it, but so this is what the other side looked like before I poured a bunch of resin on it to try and just kind of get it filled up and stabilize it. So I've got to do that to this side. So stick with me, guys. Probably on the next scene, I'm going to go ahead and sand this thing down. I want to see what this looks like underneath here. I'm going to sand it down flush on both sides with my disc sander, and probably like a 60-degree or even rougher, just to see what this looks like underneath and see what my surface is going to be. So we'll be right back. All right, so I got it all sanded down and on both sides. It's not perfectly flat, but this is what it looks like underneath underneath that tape. This is what it looked like. This is actually came out pretty good. This is where that, I think I poured red resin in here. It looks pretty decent. Again, I'm a little disappointed in the live edge portions here. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to have to use the other side. I really like the live edge on the edge here, but for what I want to do, I just don't think it'll work, because this appears to go way down deep, and that just won't work for what I've got to do. So I sanded off the other side as well. And this is now going to be my face. So I'm changing my mind as I'm going along. Even though this has a little bit of a cup, I checked my base plate and it rides on there just fine. Now, one thing that I did do, taking all that resin off, if you guys go back and look, this had, gosh, it must have had a 1/4 of an inch of resin. I actually used my sander, my disc sander, but I also used my planer. Not my regular planer, because this won't fit in there, but I have a hand planer, and I was going to, I'll show it to you later, but basically that little hand plane, little electric hand plane can really come in handy. It probably saved me at least an hour in grinding all that resin off. But anyway, so the next step is, since I've got this down pretty smooth, I still have a lot to seal up in here. I think I'm going to go ahead and put some penetrating epoxy on it. So we'll set this up for that, and we'll come back and put some penetrating epoxy, and then we can just keep taking it step by step until I get ready to actually reveal what I'm going to do with this thing. So stick with us, guys. We'll be right back. All right, guys, we are about ready to put the penetrating epoxy on. Again, you guys know we're huge into Total Boat. Their products are just, we love their products, and they are kind enough to supply us with products, and we absolutely love it. So I've mixed 2 to 1. I've mixed 4 ounces of the resin, 2 ounces of the hardener. That's a 2 to 1 mix, so we got 6 ounces total. We are going to, this stuff is super thin, so this stuff doesn't pour on. We're actually going to just brush this stuff on.
This stuff is more of a seal. It seals the wood.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I've got enough. Okay. It does go on super thin. Wow, look at that grain. That looks amazing. So I'm just going to
put it on that live stuff.
Yeah, I think I'm going to put it on here too. I think it says you got about 20 minutes to work with this stuff, so that should be plenty of time. I didn't worry about leveling this out, since there's going to be more stuff done to it and all of that. This isn't a flood coat or anything, so. Thank you, Ben. Wow. That is a beautiful looking grain.
There's a chunk of something right there. Oh, I think it was just a...
Yeah, I think that was a hole, actually. Looks like it.
That's nice and thin.
Yeah.
Sometimes, depending on the grain of the wood, you may need to put 2 coats of this on, and then you just sand it down, and then you put your top product on, whatever you use, tabletop or make epoxy, or what's the other one? High performance.
Yeah, high performance, 2-to-1 high performance, which is what I really started with as far as the total boat stuff goes.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
That is beautiful. So I think what I'll do, guys, is I'm going to do the same thing on the back side, probably off camera, and then when we come back, we'll get into what I actually am thinking on this for this board. So there it is. Wow, I just love the looks of that.
You have enough to do the back side too.
I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think I've got enough here that I'm gonna turn it over. I'll do that off camera, turn it over, and put this stuff on the back side. So anyway, guys, when we come back, this will be all sealed up, and then we'll move on to the next step. All right, folks, so I have got this thing, so it's all, well, it's not completely sealed up, but it's pretty much sealed up as much as it needs to be for me to get into the carving. So I've done the layout, but one thing I wanted to show is, remember how I talked about this board had kind of a, because of all the sanding I did here, and it had kind of a cup to it. Although it's not really cupped, it's just, that's where a lot of sanding was done in this area. Because of that, I had a little problem with having sharp lines on some of the layout when I taped it off and sprayed the layout. And so what I've done is I've taken a ballpoint pen and I've taken a straight edge, and we're talking about that little square straight edge and a ballpoint pen, like right there. You can see how the side of that A was kind of fuzzy, and it was because what happened was the black primer went down underneath the layout letter. When the layout letter was on there, it kind of went down, scooted down underneath there. So I needed to sharpen those lines up. So if that becomes an issue for you guys, you can always draw those lines. You can see there on the E and the side of the K, and on both sides of that. Now down at the other end, not so much. It's pretty flat down at the other end. I got pretty, and it's also light colored board. So I've got a pretty good edge. You can see I did do the M right there. I did do a couple lines right there, but all in all, the layout is done. Now the part that concerns me the most is right there. And I think I probably will carve that first. These are going to be outset letters, and I will take you guys through the process. But okay, so that's where we're at on the layout. We'll move on to the next step. Here we go. All right, you guys, well, guess what? We're out of time. So if all goes well, you're seeing this on Monday. I'm going to get into the carving on Wednesday's video. Again, I don't know how far I'm going to get because there's some special things I want to do on here, and it may be pretty time consuming, but we'll start the routing on Wednesday. Probably first thing on Wednesday's video, you'll see me cutting this thing. I don't know what it's going to cut like. And again,
What is that?
this is Gamble Oak. Yeah, just like gambling, Gamble Oak. And it is hard and heavy. And this is the part that makes me the most nervous. I'll probably carve that first just to get it out of the way. So then I'll know whether the whole thing's going to be firewood or not. Anyway, all right, you guys. Hope you enjoyed this. If you have any questions, please email me directly, eric@makeawoodsign.com. We would love for you to subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you do, when you do, we'd love it if you would click that little bell icon so you get notified when we do videos, which is a lot. a lot of videos. I think we post something like 10 videos a week now, which is crazy. I don't know how much longer we can keep up that pace, but we're going to as long as we can. Anyway, if you have any questions, email me. Vicky's email is vickywithdavescience@gmail.com. If you need any supplies, there's the website. We love you. We will see you on Wednesday. Bye-bye.